Welcome back to Indianomics. We've been discussing the power sector and what it may get from the budget or from an expected power policy. I've been speaking with Anil Swarup, former Secretary Government of India, Mohit Bhargava, former CEO, NTPC Green, Sabyasachi Mazumdar of Care Ratings, and Nikhil Nigania of Bernstein. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience. Okay, let me now look at the non-distribution expectations from policy or action plan, as Mr. Swarup said. Mr. Bhargava, what would you expect that they can say about batteries or about solar cells, simply because solar cells has become contentious with the coming of Trump?
Yeah, it's not exactly contentious for us, but let's focus on batteries and solar cells, and maybe if you permit, I have a couple of other sessions
Sure.
also. So battery, yes. I mean, the recent bids by SECI and other renewable implementation agencies have shown a very, very exciting trend in terms of the lowering of the prices. So definitely, I mean, it goes without saying with the RE intermittency, storage is the most important thing. Couple of quick points here. One, while battery is definitely good, but a lot of import challenges there. So I hope the government keeps that in mind while framing a policy and does not add any additional duties. Because right now, the domestic manufacturing capacity, particularly on the lithium-ion side, is very, very limited. Having said that, we need to support both battery and any other alternatives like pump storage. So there could be, and this is a pending issue with the government for quite some time. For example, one, the finalization of the pump storage policy. Number two, the exemption of GST on storage, which could actually lower the prices. Point you made earlier that ultimately discoms have to pay for that. So that's very, very important. And one quick thing which we have also discussed with the government, and I believe there is some traction in the government, is if they can actually come out with a sustainable data center policy,
Okay.
which can actually rely on supplying green power using both solar and storage, either of the kind. So we should actually be pursuing storage on a technology agnostic basis with lowest possible GST and no additional customs duty, etc., at least in the near foreseeable future.
That will need to be seen in an integrated fashion across
Absolutely.
ministries. Mr. Swarup, would you want to add to that? I mean, anything that comes to the mind on nuclear, where are the policy gaps, even on import-export? Like, for instance, high cell import duties is a problem for someone else.
No, I would like to develop on the point made earlier. You know, it is very good to promote solar energy in India, and that's very natural occurrence that is happening. But we must understand the implications of promoting solar energy in India, and I have been saying that for quite a while. Now, when there is a back down to be done, who suffers on account of that? Whether the thermal sector is paying a price for promoting solar. Now, this aspect needs to be looked at very closely. Though when we end up promoting solar, we will kill the thermal sector. They are paying a very heavy price for it. There are other aspects. You alluded to the rooftop solar panels that the government has advocated. Very good. But who's paying the price for it? And that is why right from the beginning, I've been advocating a more comprehensive, if you say, an energy policy, which accounts for variety of sectors, including nuclear. So when you talk of back down, in case it was being noted earlier that can gas replace at that point in time when solar is not available, gas could be used. Now, this switch on, switch off is not possible in thermal. So they are paying a price. So my suggestion would be, if there is to be a policy, take all sectors. Last year, I had gone to IIT Mumbai and they had set up a group to look at a more comprehensive nature of the policy. And one way of going about it was, and this I had noted in 2015, was why is hydro sector sitting with power ministry? It should go to the renewable sector.
Okay.
Because that's where the balancing can come about. But of course, things don't happen that way, and we discuss other policies. So we have to look at the entire energy policy in a more comprehensive manner as to the impact of bringing about a change in one part, its impact on the other.
No, absolutely. Decisions taken earlier, those who are first off the cuff often end up suffering. For instance, the battery issue, the early bids which are expensive are now being questioned, or perhaps being protested by those who made the bids. We saw that even in the thermal bids, when they were, for 4 rupees per unit, and then you had solar coming in at 2.5 and 3, and then DISCOMs refused to pay, or governments, state governments are refusing to pay, saying that cheaper power is available. Here the legal system itself is in question. The respect for contract, which is a much larger issue.
Sorry for coming in here. I just wanted to make a point here. Intensive engagement with the state governments is absolutely imperative. That doesn't seem to be happening. There are diktats being given by the central government. And if you recall, the coal story happened in 2014-16 because not a single meeting was held in Delhi in the coal sector.
Yes.
Every meeting was held at the state headquarters.
Yes.
Engagement with the states is critical for making any policy happen. No one seems to be discussing.
Absolutely golden words, Mr. Swaroop. And incidentally, Suresh Prabhu had said this in 2003, that, the Electricity Act, its real implementation should be in state capitals and not in Delhi. So, everyone realizes this, but the political will for it has to be mustered. Nikhil, since we're running out of time, last suggestions on any of them? Solar, nuclear, anything which is your ask?
Sure. I think I would agree to most of the point Mr. Bhargava and Mr. Swaroop said. I think on the solar side, the import duty, I mean, it's especially the restrictions on cell imports, which seem to be coming in, we think would raise the tariff and slow down commissioning actually for the sector. We think we are a bit early in implementing it. Maybe we need to do it a few years out. Similarly on batteries, as Mr. Bhargava said, if restrictions do come in on imports, it would be too early in our view as well. Thirdly, on nuclear, it's an excellent solution for dispatchable power, but a key challenge there is land acquisition due to this 1 kilometer buffer zone condition which is there, leading to 10 years to set up a nuclear plant. If any support comes in to reduce the buffer zone or expedite the timelines, would be a big help. And lastly, on rooftop solar, as we have discussed, it's a great solution, but some tweaks need to be made. For example, net metering is free right now, which is further burdening the DISCOMs. So their restrictions should come in, as we have seen that happen in California and other countries where rooftop solar has high penetration. Okay. So those are the points.
Yeah, no, I absolutely take your point about nuclear and need to crash it. But after Fukushima, I don't know whether these liberties will be taken. Sabyasachi, last few seconds, what would you want for any part of the power space?
So basically, I think continued investment and particularly viability gap funding for certain sector segments where things may appear to be a bit expensive right now, but possibly where by bringing in economies of scale, we could bring down the costs and make those solutions viable. So we need to look at some of those areas, then continue support for the transmission expansion because renewable energies. We are looking at about 50 gigawatts eventually. So continued support to the transmission sector would be very important.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for all your suggestions. It's impossible for me to wrap up and give a summary. But the key takeaways is have cooperative federalism in the first place. On the power sector, it is absolutely necessary. And the other important point, when a cutting-edge sector comes in, it cannibalizes the legacy sectors, and therefore policy will have to be integrated even across ministries and across decades. Unless we're able to get that kind of integration, policies will always have more, fallouts, negative fallouts, as they will have positive. Wise words. We hope all this is kept in mind if and when the new policy is announced. Thank you very much for joining us on this edition.